Vamos a abrir esta segunda jornada del Salón Internacional de la Logística en esta sala eDelivery, 22ª edición. Desde ayer y hasta mañana se van a dar cita por aquí 650 empresas de 80 países distintos. Van a presentar hasta un centenar de innovaciones para un sector que, como bien sabéis, vive momentos convulsos. Lo analizamos detenidamente ayer, lo seguiremos viendo hoy. Un sector que no es ajeno a lo que sucede a nivel internacional. De hecho, esta misma mañana en el informativo para el que trabajo contábamos que Shanghai, el gigante asiático, esta capital financiera económica de la China, terminaba el confinamiento estricto de 2 meses, después de 2 meses otra vez con la pandemia, últimos coletazos de esta pandemia que sigue sacudiendo el mundo entero y a la que se ha sumado en los últimos 3 meses la guerra en Ucrania. Con todos estos elementos encima de la mesa vamos a entrar en profundidad en materia. Si ayer nos fijábamos en la regulación aduanera, por ejemplo, o en cómo hacer el e-commerce más sostenible, hoy abordaremos los desafíos que afronta concretamente el retail para hacer compatible el online con el offline ante el boom del comercio electrónico. De hecho, los hábitos del consumidor han cambiado a lo largo de los últimos años y la pandemia ha sido el remate final, el remate definitivo, el empujón definitivo. ¿Cuáles son las claves para adaptarse a este nuevo paradigma? O cuando la relación es virtual, ¿cuál es el secreto para seguir teniendo un buen trato con el cliente? Todas estas preguntas las vamos a responder ahora. Antes de entrar en materia, agradecer a los patrocinadores de este SIL su colaboración. Ellos son Metropolis Barcelona, Cimalsa, Prologis, Project 44, Saba, E-Commerce Zone Dubai, Barcelona Activa, Linde, Diputació de Barcelona, Renfe y Correos. Ahora, antes de seguir, me gustaría avisaros de que la intervención que viene a continuación va a ser en inglés, así que si alguno de vosotros necesita, puede ponerse la traducción simultánea a través de la app. Si tenéis alguna duda, nuestras compañeras os pueden ayudar. Así que vamos a entrar a ello. One of the key hubs for e-commerce sector in the MENA region, this is Middle East and North Africa, is, without any doubt, Dubai. And to explain this, we have the privilege to have in here with us this morning the CEO from Logistic District E-Commerce Zone Dubai, Mohsen Ahmad. Mohsen, thank you for being here today, for joining us, and all yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for introduction. For those, my name is Mohsen Ahmad. I am from Dubai South. And today I'm here particularly talking about Ezdubai, which is the sort of the e-commerce zone which we have developed. Before I delve into sort of the details of this, I wanted to just give you a briefing on sort of to set the ground on so that you all understand of what Dubai or UAE in particular. If you look at today, obviously, whenever you look at the Gulf countries, you think oil is the sort of the main source. So, but we've diversified that over the years in the UAE. So now we're about 70% of our GDP is related to non-oil, and that just makes a difference that where our economy is for. In fact, our current president, who was just nominated, who became the president, he once said, "We want to celebrate the last barrel of oil and not cry that we've shed." And of course, during the pandemic, the government did a lot of initiatives. We did the first sort of in a global to introduce blockchain in sort of a technology side of it, and that's working at the moment. And I'll come and give you some more details. Ease of doing business was always one of our key objectives. We quite frankly did quite a lot of easing and sort of the process. And cashless is something that is becoming more and more sort of a strategy or sort of the direction that we are trying to take the cashless. And of course, when it comes to the emerging market, we ranked, of course, the third in the agility emerging market. If you come down to Dubai, the numbers are also the same. We've done a lot. We're probably by far leading the region when it comes to the Middle East, North Africa, and I think Southeast Asia is also one thing that we're also trying to attract to come into this sort of calculation of where we're positioning ourselves at the moment. This is just an indication of how well the city is connected, both from a seaport and airport. Today, you can get to almost 2/3 of the world population with just an 8-hour flight. We're 6.5-hour flight from Dubai to Barcelona here. The borders are open after the COVID, so it's just all these numbers are going back to pre-COVID as sort of the thing. In terms of a cargo, just the first quarter of this year, we've done about 575,000 tons of air cargo. That itself ranks it probably one of the top airports in the world when it comes to cargo in the first quarter. When it comes to digital economy, and that's what we're basically here to understand the e-commerce, a lot of these numbers were very low a few years ago. But when you come now, our sort of internet penetration is quite high compared, comparison to many of the world population and sort of there. The consumers own quite a large number of a smartphone. And also, one of the things that the digital wallet has increasingly more and more so in the past few years. And because our society was basically, they wouldn't trust a credit card in our region, it took us a lot of sort of cultural to change that. And certainly, pandemic helped out. Everybody started using the cards, and it just jacked up that percentage side of it. What our government did during the pandemic, they didn't sit and wait for it to finish, to go back to normal. They did quite a lot of it. We introduced an e-commerce strategy that basically told every government sector any processes that needed to be changed. We went and changed it to related to e-commerce. So that related even to customs regulations, our airport cargo handlings, our airports, and of course, that's where we have the sort of the blockchain for Dubai Customs was introduced to ease off sort of the cross-border trading when it comes to the cross-border. Also, obviously with countries being locked down, we saw it an opportunity. Whenever things like happen, people migrate from one place to another. And our government changed the whole visa and immigration policy and created sort of a creative economic strategy where we wanted to attract more people when it comes to digital, attract the brain, sort of talents from around the world. I saw today UK also introducing some similar thing to try to attract more talented, to speed up sort of the process. So it shows like countries are trying to become more attractive for talented individuals to be, and that's something that we want because we're basing it quite a lot on the digital economy. The last one is quite an interesting one. If we see during the pandemic, obviously nobody looked at the supply chain as a risk factor in their calculation. So we were heavily dependent on China produce it, the rest of the world also consuming. So it was only one-way traffic when it came to the car. Our current sort of dependency on the, industrial, we're about $133 billion on there. The Operation 300 is to increase our industry within the next year to $300 billion, and that requires a lot of advanced manufacturing and all this. These initiatives all came in the last 2 years. They've looked at it, they've strategized it, they were very quick, and we are started doing. So there's a food security zone that we've created. We've got also a lot of areas where we're trying to do advanced manufacturing. We're trying to attract more and more pharmaceuticals. So we start producing a lot of the vaccines in UAE ourselves. Obviously, the formula came from outside, but these are the sort of the initiatives was taken during the pandemic. You might want to know, okay, I'm here to talk about e-commerce. These are some of the straight stats. These are the growth on the Middle East, North Africa region. The region is very young when it comes to penetration. 2021 was 6% of the e-commerce penetration. Pre-pandemic, the region was 1.9. So that's how much the growth happened during that period. We expect that the MENA again to go 8%, and this is a very conservative. We believe it's going to be more because more people are getting connected at the same time. Similarly, when we look at UAE, it was the same. Pre-pandemic, we were about 4% penetration, now it's 9%, and we expected that to go to 11%. I mean, if you put this one into context of many European countries, pre-pandemic, they were about 11%. So we're just getting there, so the opportunity is growing more and more in the region. And of course, recently we had Amazon, just before the pandemic, decide to create their regional fulfillment center out of Ezdubai. So that's where they've set up their fulfillment center. That's the prediction growth of between what is local and what's across. UAE is, in terms of population, the region is one of the smallest countries. We're just below 10 million population, comparing it to Saudi Arabia and Egypt. But the sort of the basket size of these orders and the consumer is making it the strongest one in the region. But we believe strongly the rest of the countries will start picking up, and more orders will be coming in through on that aspect. This is some pictures of our development. One of the things we took very seriously that we wanted to get at the world class. Yesterday I was at the session about the real estate and logistics. They were talking about the good quality versus that. So we've gone there and we've learned a lot from different experts, and we made sure that sort of the buildings were there. This is one building. It's a recent one where we just finished off one of the 4 or 5 we have for the Amazon. So this is a recent one that we just delivered to Amazon. Where are we located? If for those who've been to Dubai during the expo or previously, we are located somewhere between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. The Expo 2020 site was part of our project in general, and if you see the sort of the red, that's eDelivery. The gray is what the logistic district. So I manage the logistic district, which includes the eDelivery, and that's roughly about 18 square kilometers, the whole area. I think the challenge also I heard yesterday in the real estate that there's not many brownfields for people to develop. I think we were blessed with that sort of option. A bit of a history for people. This airport was reserved in 1986. So it wasn't something that just came out of the blue, that Dubai, you said it. Because 86, probably many of you didn't even hear where Dubai was. But when they did the Jebel Ali port, they decided to do the airport there. And all we did back in 2006, when we were incepted, we expanded, we created a lot of other things next to this airport. The e-commerce zone, or what we call the eDelivery, it's a dedicated zone. It's basically focused specifically on e-commerce. Today we've created an environment for the last mile. So we're very happy to have DHL, FedEx, our postal service, few of the Chinese express carriers as part of our community. We also, when it comes to the pure players, the Amazon, their competitor in our region, which is Noon, coming up. And we also are very much attracting companies that were based in India, or traditionally in e-commerce, that selected now Dubai to become a hub for their Middle East and Africa region to fulfill both ways, both to fulfill into India and also from India to get goods into Africa and sort of the Middle East and Africa. That's sort of in a nutshell. I will leave it this QR code. You can scan it. You can get more details about it. And thank you very much for now. And we will wait for sort of any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you for your explanation. I have, if you allow to me, a few questions. So if you want, we can sit here. The first one is, what are the benefits, under your point of view, of setting up a business in the UAE in general and in Dubai in specific?
I think obviously, the obvious one that everybody talks about is the tax benefit. So we would have said no tax, but now we are very low tax, as 9% on sort of the corporate that's coming into effect from next year. So that's sort of we're very open to business. So when the whole pandemic, we were we took some measures that still we hosted Expo 2020. I mean that itself we received 24 million visitors during the Expo. The country has been very proactive. So we realized what are the things we need to be doing, and you could see the actions that were taken, just so that we basically come out of the pandemic. We were the first to vaccinate a lot of our population. We started even simple things like masks that countries were running out. They bought the machine and we started producing them. That's how fast the government acts. I was a volunteer on it, and I saw how we were getting things done.
And do you think that the expo was useful in that sense?
I think the expo was useful because people were fed up 2 years of being locked into their countries. So that's one of the things that attracted people. They came in. For us, it was good that people got to see Dubai in a different perspective. I think during that time also showed sort of the tolerance of our country, that we had the Abrahamic Accords that we signed with Israel, and it showed a sort of a lot of the bilateral trade. Yeah.
And how would you say that this e-commerce zone Dubai contributing to the growth of the e-commerce sector in the Emirates and in the MENA region, in Middle East and North Africa?
Yeah, I think one of the things we did, we made sure that the strategy was there. The regulations were there, the policies were there, and that's what was our first thing that we wanted to ensure.
But you are talking as well about tax-free, so it is compatible.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in the free zone, you are still a tax-free area. I think one thing we did unique with this particular project is we created a hybrid. So through the digitalization that I talked about with the blockchain, you can have a sort of an off-free zone and a free zone within the same building. I don't know, Vincent, I'm going to put you in the spotlight. He's one of our latest clients joining our team. Yeah, he's a Spanish-based, so you can ask him his opinion if you want.
The difference, no?
Yeah.
Okay, another one. Where do you see the e-commerce sector heading in the years to come?
As I said, the numbers are very low in our region compared to it. So if you look at sort of countries like China and all this, they're 30+%. US has reached sort of close to that 30%. Europe is in 21 or 23% penetration compared to their normal. So when you're looking at 9%, so there is definitely room to growth, especially where we are a country that's very much digital savvy. Yeah. So I think the opportunity is great. And we're trying to attract more of the digital side of the economy.
And in your opinion, what role can companies play in advancing to the logistics industry considering recent disruptions?
I think one thing that maybe the pandemic was they say industrial revolution, I think pandemic was the logistics revolution. It brought in everybody to realize how important this sector is. We were looked at as a cost center. Now people are looking at it as a more of a risk, because you can see certainly the supply chain guys. Finally, the board decided, oh, you know what, you guys need to be on the board, because without you, we cannot get the cargo to the doors of our clients. And that's, I think, it will stay for a long time, because people have put all their eggs in one basket at one time. Now I think they're rethinking the whole supply chain.
And it's been good news for you today, the opening of Shanghai?
Finally.
2 months.
We
thought it was forgotten, but...
I saw a picture of Singapore. We talk about cars traffic jam, but if you looked at Singapore, it was a traffic jam of vessels. And that was, but things will move. I think Shanghai is a very important port, and for it to open up, it will make a big difference.
And from there, where you are you experimenting the impact of the war as well?
I mean, the impact is definitely there. If you look at cost of material, the inflation we're seeing, because again, the sort of the finished goods were coming in. But then when you look at the oil prices has gone up, that also adding a lot of factor. The capacity in the whole industry globally is very, we're running short of space. If you look at, good luck trying to charter an aircraft these days, it's not as easy as it used to be. Obviously, there's the unfortunate war that's happening. These factors definitely played a role in becoming more and more challenging. But I'm being optimistic. Things will probably move on. We have everybody was stubborn. Maybe it brought people to rethink about what they were doing, and I think I'm quite positive that the outlook will be much better.
So you're really an optimistic person. It's opportunities and challenge in any crisis. It's a good view of.
Yeah, I think that's what we've been lived in. We always say that Dubai, if there's a problem somewhere, we take it as an opportunity, and this is, I mean. If you look at historically, it's all about the talent, the people. And today, if you see many countries, they're trying to attract talent to come into there, because it's the brain of the human being. We can do digital to a certain extent, but behind it is us as a human being that then make the difference.
So many thanks for joining us this morning, and we keep your advices.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to discussing with anybody. Thank you.
Thank you.